Later on tonight, 9:30 PM GMT, I shall be hosting a political recap stream with Trups over on the Cthulhu-Kin and Friends show. Link to that below. Now today we are going to cover a case from Kentucky, because we're global, yo, where a teacher has clearly done something, but as always, it's not reported or enacted, the law that is, correctly. This is Amy Hamilton. Amy Hamilton is a biology teacher who has been charged with sexual misconduct with a minor and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. These are devastating charges, would you not agree? Although I would argue there is a charge that should be laid at the feet of this biology teacher, one which she should be found guilty of and sentenced for instead of these two, as it is only right and just. The charge she should be sentenced for is rape, because the nature of what she has done shows a level of premeditation. Planning has gone into this, where she gave a 15-year-old student, a former student, no less obviously, 9 beers. At the age of 15, I can't imagine even in the state of Kentucky this boy was still standing by the end of it, unless they were Bud Lights. They also drank several bottles of wine before the boy was taken home, if he wasn't already there, and she, in the article I have linked below, had sex with him. Now the first thing I thought to look at was the age of consent in Kentucky, where Kentucky statutory rape law is violated when a person has consensual sexual intercourse with an individual under the age of 16. The age of consent is raised to 18 if the offender is in a position of trust or authority over the victim. Which is all rather interesting for Amy Hamilton here, really, isn't it? Because unless I'm mistaken, the boy being 15 does not fall into the bracket of 16, and because she was in a position of trust, she violated a kid by about 3 years. It is sexual assault. He could not consent reasonably even if he was of age, because he was plied with so much alcohol in the first place. Now, Amy Hamilton actually turned herself in to the police on Monday, where she was then charged with the 2 earlier mentioned charges of sexual misconduct and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. The police have since launched an investigation into Amy Hamilton, who taught at the Oldham County High School since December 2017, after receiving a tip in January about suspected inappropriate conduct, which was reported by the Louisville Courier-Journal. Link to that below. Now, according to the investigators, Hamilton used to work at Stuart Pepper Middle School in Brandenburg, Kentucky, where she first met the victim years prior. The pair reportedly kept in touch via text messages. Her phone is a well of information. Enjoy prison. Charging documents allege that Hamilton offered the underage boy 9 beers and drank multiple bottles of wine. Well, I guess you need to limber him up. Now, when interviewed by the police, the teenage boy said it was he who initiated physical contact earlier in the day, but at the time, the teacher had turned down his advances. So one would surely assume then she was that desperate, that she was willing to break the law to get her rocks off with a teenage boy. And while I accept he did initiate it, she still committed the crime. Therefore, it is still rape. He cannot give informed consent at 15. To anyone that tries to tell me otherwise, good luck with that. One of the unfortunate circumstances that sets Amy Hamilton up to fail here is that she initially denied having a sexual encounter with the boy or plying him with alcohol. However, when the police combed through the contents of the teenage boy's phone, they discovered text message exchanges between him and the teacher, suggesting that the two had an intimate relationship. The charge of sexual misconduct is a felony that carries with it a sentence up to 12 years in prison. Considering the circumstances and the nature of this, she was in a position of trust. He was not of age. Therefore, she broke the law. Therefore, I support her going to prison for a lengthy period of time. I keenly await for this to go back to court next Tuesday, where I will hopefully be able to update you on this case. There is a second story I want to touch upon before I finish this video. It concerns someone who became somewhat famous during the time of Gamergate. Someone who actually follows me on Twitter, and because of recent events I've had to remain silent, because we still don't really know what's going on. But I noticed a lot of people, on Twitter especially, jump immediately onto the moral outrage bandwagon. My dear friend Undoomed was one, there were others, and I think, as with all cases, I stand by my original position I've held for years. Firstly, this shouldn't be made public until either convicted or they decide, if found innocent, to be public. And second, that one must believe innocent until proven guilty. The case in question involves the porn actress Mercedes Carrera, whose real name is Melinda Smith, and her, or most articles claimed, boyfriend Jason Whitney, who's actually her husband, both of whom were arrested and charged with 8 counts each of sexually abusing a child under the age of 10. The child in question is Mercedes' daughter, who is 9 years old, a child she had with her ex-partner. They were also charged with 1 count of possession while armed with a handgun, and I believe also for a certain drug, I believe meth, found at their residence. Detectives from the Rancho Cucamonga Police Department revealed that the girl was abused over a 4-month period, or this is what has been claimed. Deputies said in a statement, the sexual abuse consisted of inappropriate touching, oral copulation and digital penetration, which occurred over 4 months. Because of the nature of this crime, both Melinda Smith and Jason Whitney have been denied bail. They've entered no guilty pleas, and they will be appearing in court today for a preliminary hearing. Now, there is an update to this that was issued on the 8th of February, which is actually a statement from Mercedes Carrera, or Melinda Smith herself. And I'm going to read it from start to finish, and you can make up your minds what you think, but I stand by what I've always said. Innocent until proven guilty. So I have to wait and see how this plays out, and much like earlier story, I will update when it comes out. Her statement reads, last week my husband and I were arrested on charges of molesting my 9-year-old daughter, the absolute worst crime I can imagine. The charges were filed by her father, my ex-partner, a fundamentalist Christian. He is trying to take custody of our child from me. The charges are absolutely false and horrifying, and a last-ditch effort to keep me from contact with my daughter for the rest of my life. I am so worried for her. Her life is shattered. Life will never be the same for any of us. We are struggling to make sense of this nightmare. This is a no-bail offence, so we are stuck in jail until we are cleared. We are facing decades in prison, and do not even have money for a lawyer. We do not know what to do, but I ask that you all know me for who I am, and know that neither I nor my husband would ever do anything like this to any child, let alone my beloved daughter. I keenly await the preliminary hearing to see what leg they have to stand on, and if they have any definitive evidence to take this to a proper trial. This is certainly going to be interesting, because if she is found guilty, oh my god, dear god, what the fuck is going on? If, though, she's found innocent, then I hope the Christian fundamentalist ex-partner is summarily brought up on charges of perverting the course of justice and wasting police time. Anyway, if I don't see you later this evening on the political recap on the Cthulhu-Kin and Friend show, I hope you all have a lovely Valentine's Day, and thank you all for listening.